Question number 81. The arithmetic mean and standard deviation of a certain normal distribution are 13.5 and 1.5 respectively. What value is exactly two standard deviations less than the mean? Okay, so let's start putting the variables. So we have our mean, which is equal to m, so we are going to call it m, 13.5. Okay, so that's the mean. We have the standard deviation. We can call it SD like this, which is 1.5. Okay, so it says the arithmetic mean and standard deviation of a certain normal distribution are 13.5 and 1.5 respectively. What value is exactly two standard deviation less than the mean? So they want to find the value of x, which is equal to mean minus 2 times standard deviation. So that's what this sentence means. What is the value? What value is exactly two standard deviation less than mean? So mean minus 2 times standard deviation. And x here, so the mean is 13.5 minus 2 factor of standard deviation is 1.5. So 1.5 like this. This will lead us to have 13.5 minus 3. So x is equal to 10.5. That's answer A. So a pretty straightforward question. Let's move on to question number 82. The next question that we have here. So it says, what is 45% of 7 over 12 of 240? So what this means is that 45% of 7 over 12 of 240. So this is simply 45 over 100 times 7 over 12 times 240. Now, if we develop this further, we're going to have 45 times 7 times 240 is actually 2 times 120. So 120 is 12 times 10. Like this, okay? And then this is divided by 100 is actually 10 times 10 times 12. Now here, 12 will cancel, 10 will cancel as well. So we can continue the development. So 45 is actually 9 times 5 times 7 times 2. 10 is 5 times 2. So now 5 will cancel, 2 will cancel, and we are going to have 9 times 7, which is actually equal to 63. Here again, the correct answer is answer A, 63. So pretty straightforward question that you can answer in a matter of seconds. All right, let's move on to next question, which is question number 83. What does it say here? So it says a developer sold 20% fewer houses in October than in September and 50% more houses in November than in October. If the developer sold H houses in September, which of the following represents the number of houses the developer sold in November? We can start by saying, let H here be equal to the number of houses sold in September. So we are going to put it like this. And I, we are going to say that I is actually the number of houses sold in October. And then J is going to be equivalent to the number of houses sold in November. Okay, so these are the variables that we can put here. And then what here it says is that the number of houses sold, so it says the developer sold 20% fewer houses in October than in September. So that means that I, which is the number of houses sold in October, with 20% fewer in October than in September. So it's actually equal to the number of houses sold in September minus 20%. So 20H over, yeah. So it's 20% fewer in October than in September. And that's how we find the number of houses sold in October. So this will lead us to have 80H over 100. Okay, cancel the 0 here. We are going to have 8H over 10. And this will be 4 over 5H, like this. So now once we have this, the second portion of the first sentence of the prompt says 50% more houses in November than in October. We have the number of houses in October, which is 4H over 5. So now to find the value of J here, the number of houses in November, because that's actually the question that is being asked. It says that it's 50% more than the number of houses sold in October. So it's going to be I plus 50% of I, like this, okay? And this is going to lead us to have 150 I. So now 0 will cancel. We have 15 I over 10, and this will give us, so if we cancel by 5, so we're going to have 3I over 2. Okay, so we know the value of I, which is this. So we are just going to replace. So J is actually going to be equal to 3 over 2 factor of 4H over 5, like this. So cancel 2 here, 2 will remain here. If we cancel like this, and then 3 times 2, 6 over 5H. Okay, so 6 over 5. 6 divided by 5 is actually, so 1, and then we have 10 here, 0, and 2. So it's actually 1.2. So this is 1.2H. The correct answer. So the answer choice that is correct is answer C. So that's how you the approach to solve this particular question. Okay, now let's go on and try to solve the next question, which is question number 84. Yes, so 84, we are going to say that, so it says in a set of 24 cards, each card is numbered with a different positive integer from 1 to 24. One card will be drawn at random from the set. What is the probability that the card drawn will have either a number that is divisible by both 2 and 3 or a number that is divisible by 7? So we are going to look for a probability of an event. And now let's start by putting the formula to find the probability of an event. We will call it P event. It's actually equal to the number of outcomes that meet the given condition, okay, divided, so this is a division, divided by the total number of possible outcomes. So this is actually like a general formula of a probability. If you have a question asking you to find a probability, so it's the number of outcomes that will meet the given condition divided by the total number of possible outcomes. So I'm going to call the number of outcomes that meet the condition C and the total possible outcomes T. So in our prompt, the first condition that we have, okay, I will say condition 1. We'll call it C1. It says that from 1 to 24 inclusive, the number of, I would say the number of cases where we can get a number which is divisible by 2 and 3, where we can get a number divisible by 2. Let me say by 2 and 3. So this is actually like we are saying that the number is divisible by 6, okay? So a number that is divisible by 2 and 3 is definitely divisible by 6. And if we take integer values from 1 to 24 inclusive, we are only going to find 4 numbers that are divisible by 6. So let's say 4 numbers. And what are these numbers? It's 6, 12, 18, and let's say here, and 24. So since the prompt says that it's inclusive, right? Because we are counting 1 and 24 as well. Okay, so that's the first condition. And then we can say that T, which is actually the total number of possible outcomes, and we will say from 1 to 24, because that's what it says here, okay? The total number, we're going to say the total number of possible outcomes is 24, because 1 to 24, as it said. So we have 24 possible outcomes. So now the first event, because we are looking for the probability that the card drawn will have either a number that is divisible by 2 and 3, or a number, so we are focusing on the first event here, number being divisible by 2 and 3, and then we are going to take the other event. So the first event, we are going to call it P. Probability of event 1 is actually going to be equal to the first condition, and the first condition we found 4 numbers. See, we have 4 here divided by the total number of outcomes, which is 24. Okay, and this will lead us to have 4 over 24. Or it can lead us to 4 over 24 is actually 1 over 6. Okay, so that's the first condition, the first event. That's the first probability. So now let's move on to the second condition. So we will say here, condition 2, we'll call it C2, is this one, number that is divisible by 7. Okay, so it's simply the same logic. So from 1 to 24 inclusive, we are looking for the numbers or the number of cases where we have a number divisible by 7. And we only have 3 cases, okay? Because from 1 to 24 inclusive, the numbers or integers that are divisible by 7, we have 7, we have 14, and then we have 21. These are the only 3 numbers that are divisible, the only 3 integers that are divisible by 7. So now this can lead us to have the probability of event 2, which is going to be equal to 3 outcome that meet the condition divided by the total possible outcomes, which is 24. Okay, and this is going to give us value of 24 divided by 3 is 8. Okay, so 1 over 8. 1 over 8. So now we need to calculate the event, the global event. So the event says we are looking for the probability that the card will be drawn will have either a number that is divisible by 2 and 3, or, so the word or here means that we need to do an addition of the 2 probability. So we will say P event, when we take it in general, is going to be equal to P event 1 or P event 2. And this simply means that it's P event 1 plus P probability of event 2. Okay, so now this, we have the probability of event 1 is 1 over 6 plus a probability of event 2, which is 1 over 8. We are going to make sure that they have the same denominator. So here, 1 over 6 can also be written as 4 over 24, plus 1 over 8 can be written as 3 over 24. And then this will lead us to have 7 over 24. 7 over 24 is the answer that we are looking for. Okay. Now we're looking at the answer choices. Which one does correspond is answer C, which is our correct answer for the question. Okay. So that's the approach that you need to take if you find yourself with this kind of question. So now let's go to question number 85. Quickly. Question number 85. So it says, during a certain season, a team won 80% of its first 100 games and 50% of its remaining games. If the team won 70% of its games for the entire season, what was the total number of games that the team played? So here we have T, which is going to be equal to the total number of games. We're going to say the total number of games the team played. Okay. And then R, we are going to call it the number of remaining games after number of remaining games. Oh, sorry, let me write it well. After the first 100 games. Okay. And then here, so the total number of games is actually going to be equal to 100 plus R, because we have the first 100 games and then the remaining number of games after the first 100 games. And here we can say that we can deduce that the number of remaining games is going to be R. That would be equal to total number of games minus 100. Okay. And the prompt says that if the team won 70% of its games for the entire season, so that means that it won 70% of total games. Okay, what was the total number of games that the team played? So here, we are going to have the team won so during a team won 80% of its first 100 games. So this 70% total is going to be equal to 80% of the total of the 100 games plus, because here it says 50% of its remaining games. So 50% of R. Okay, the total number of games, 1. So this 70% is like they won 70% of total, and out of the 70%, they want 80% of the 100 and 50% of the remaining games. So now if we try to simplify, so this will cancel as well. And 70% is basically as if we are writing 7 over 10 like this. And this is going to be equal to 80 plus 5 over 10 is 1.5. So it's going to be 1.5. And R is actually equal to t minus 100, like this. And then we are going to have 7t over 100, which is going to be equal to 80 plus t over 2 minus 50, because 1 over 2 multiplied by minus 100 is minus 50. So if we bring the 2 over the t over 2 to the other side, we're going to have 7t over 10 minus t over 2, which is going to be equal to 30. 30, we got it from 80 minus 50, okay? And then we are going to have here 14 minus 10t divided by 20 equals 30. And then we will have 40 equal 20 times 30. And then t will be 20 times 30 divided by 4. That's how we come to this equation right here. And so 20 divided by 4 is 5. So 5 times 30 will lead us to have t will be equal to 150. So now it's answer D that corresponds to the total number of games that the team played. Okay. If you have any question regarding this this particular question, feel free to write in the comment section. Okay, and so now let's move to question number 86. So we have here, it says 3 to the power 41 plus 3 to the power 42 plus 3 to the power 43. What we can do here is that we can factor 3 to the power 41, and this will give us 1 plus 3 to the power 1 plus 3 to the power 2, like this. And this will be equal to 3 to the power 41 plus 1 plus 3 plus 9. And we will have 3 to the power 41 factor of 13. This is the same as writing 13 factor of 3 to the power 41. Okay, so that's our answer, which is answer B. Straightforward. Now let's go to question number 87. Question number 87. So here it says an operation, sign act, is defined by the equation a at b, which is equal to a minus b divided by a plus b for all numbers a and b such that a different from minus b. If a different from minus c and a at c is equal to 0, then what is the value of c? Okay, so we have a at c equal to 0. So if we take this formula here, so if we have this, that means that we need to have a minus c over a plus c, which is going to be equal to 0. And now this we're going to lead us, because it says a is different from minus b, and if a is different from minus c, so we can pretty much do the operation here. So a plus b multiplied by 0 is going to give us 0. If this is different, if a is different from minus b, that means that this here can never be 0, okay? So for that particular operation to be 0, our numerator is the one that must be equal to 0, because this will never be 0, because a is different from minus c. What did I write here? Here is normally c, okay? So we are simply following the logic that it gave us here. A at b is equal to a minus b over a plus b. So if it is a at c, it should be a minus c over a plus c. And since it's saying that a is different from c, from minus c, so this can never be 0, okay? For it to be equal to 0, a must be equal to minus c for it to cancel itself. So for this particular operation to be equal to 0, it means that looking at the conditions that we have here, only the numerator must be equal to 0. So now we have our numerator a minus c equal to 0. That means minus c equal to minus a, c is equal to a. So our answer is answer B. That's it. Let's go to the next question, which is question number 88. Let me come here. Question number 88. So it says, at a monthly meeting, 2/5 of the attendees were males and 7/8 of the male attendees arrived on time. If 9/10 of the female attendees arrived on time, what fraction of the attendees at the monthly meeting did not arrive on time? So here we can put our variables. We say T is going to be the total number of attendees. Okay, M is going to be the number of male attendees, and F will be the number of female. Let me write it well. F is going to be the number of female attendees. So here it tells us that 2/5 of the attendees, of the total number of attendees, were male. So 2/5 of the total were male. And so that means that female number of attendees will be 3/5 of the total. Okay, and then it goes on to say that I'm going to call it MOT. So this is actually going to be the number of male attendees. I'll write it like this. That arrived on time. So it says that 7/8 of the male attendees arrived on time. So that is going to be 7/8 of the total number of male attendees. That is 2/50, like this. And this, if we do the calculation right, 2 here we cancel, and with 8 here we'll have 4 remaining. 4 times 5 is 20, so this will give us 720 T. Okay, so once we have that, we can also determine, I'm going to call it M naught, like this. So this is going to be the number of male attendees so this is normally okay. That did not, okay. So the first one is the number of attendees, male attendees that arrived on time. This here will be that of attendees that did not arrive on time. So this is simply going to be 1/8 of 2/5t. Okay, and it's going to give us 1/20t, like this. So we are going to follow the same logic for the female attendees. Okay, so if it says here, if 9/10 of the female attendees arrived on time. So we are going to say FOT for the number of female attendees that arrived on time is going to be equal to 9/10 of 3/5t, like this, okay? And this will lead us to have 27t/50, like this. And then we will continue by saying, so if 9/10 of the female attendees arrived on time, so those that did not arrive on time are going to be equal to 1/10 of 3t/5. So that did not arrive on time. So 1/10. Let me write it well. Of 3t/5. And this will be equal to 3t over 50, like this. Okay, so now the question is to find the number of attendees that did not arrive on time. That's the question you ask. What fraction of the attendees at the monthly meeting did not arrive on time? What fraction of the total number of attendees? So we can say the fraction of attendees that did not arrive on time, be it male or female, it's actually going to be equal to, we have male that did not arrive on time is t over 20. Okay, that's we have here. And then female attendees that did not arrive on time is 3t over 50. So we can put t in factors. So we will have 1 over 20 plus 3 over 50 factor of t. And then this will lead us to have 50 plus 60 over 1000 t. And then we'll have 110 over 1000. The zeros here will cancel, and it will remain 11 over 100 of the total number of attendees. So the fraction that we are looking for is 11 over 100, which is our answer A. Okay, that's how you solve this question particularly. Go on to question 89. So here we have, if 3 is the greatest common divisor of positive integers, r and s, what is the greatest common divisor of 2r and 2s? So what the prompt is asking us, it's simply saying that 3 is a common factor of r and s. Okay, so it's a common factor of r and s, and 3 is also the greatest common factor of r and s. So the greatest common factor of r and s, like this. Okay, but we can also see that so I'll simply say we can also see that r and s will not, they will not have any common prime factor apart from C, from 3, sorry. So common Okay. So that will mean that 2r, because the question is, what is the greatest common divisor of 2r and 2s? So that means 2r and 2s will both have 2 and 3. That means 2 times 3 common between them. Okay, so all this verbatim is simply to say that the greatest common divisor, if 3 is the greatest common divisor of r and s, that means that the greatest common divisor of 2r and 2s is going to be equal to 2 times 3, which is 6. That's basically answer D. Okay, that was it for question number 89. Now let's go to question number 90. So it says, during a 2-week period, the price of an ounce of silver increased by 25% by the end of the first week and then decreased by 20% of this new price by the end of the second week. If the price of silver was X dollars per ounce at the beginning of the 2-week period, what was the price in dollars per ounce by the end of the period? Okay, let's put some of the variables that we can identify from reading the prompt. So the price at the beginning, from what it says in the prompt, at the beginning of the 2-week period is X. Okay, and then we also have the price at the end of the first week, which is, you can say 25% by the end of the first week. Okay, so X plus 25% of X, which is 1.25 X. And then it says that the price by the end of the second week is, and then decrease by 20% at this new price by the end of the second week. So we are going to take this 1.25x minus 20%, so 20% of 1.25x. So that's basically what this means. So now here, 1.25 can also be written as 125 over 100 x minus 20 over 100 is actually equal to 1 over 5, like this, factor of 125 x over 100, and this will give us 5 over 4, like this, of x minus 1 over 5, 5x over 4. So this 5 will cancel. So this will give us 5x over 4 minus x over 4. Okay, this will say that we will have 5x minus x over 4 for x over 4. So this will cancel, and the final answer is going to be x. Looking at our answer choices, so answer C will be the correct answer. Okay, so moving on to the next question, that will be question number 91. Okay, question number 91. During the second quarter of 1984, a total of 2,976,000 domestic cars were sold. If this was 24% greater than the number sold during the first quarter of 1984, how many were sold during the first quarter? So what do we understand by this? It says domestic cars sold during second quarter of 1984 is equal to, we are going to call it S1. So second quarter, so we will say S2, okay? And it's 2,976,000 domestic cars that were sold. And we are going to do the same thing for number of domestic cars sold during first quarter of 1984. We're going to call it S1. So it says, so if this was 24% greater than the number sold the first quarter of, so that simply means that S2 here, number of domestic cars sold during the second quarter, was 24% greater. So that means S1 plus 24% of S1, 24% of S1. Okay, that will lead us to have S2 being equal to 124 over 100 S1, like this. Okay, so if we want to find the value of S1, because it says how many cars were sold during the first quarter. So S1, so 124 S1 is going to be equal to 100 times S2. And then S1 will be equal to 100 times 2,976,000 divided by 124. So here we will need to simplify that. If we try to divide 2,076,000 by 124. So if we say 2, so here we will have 2 times 4, 8, 4, 2 like this. And then we will have 9 here, 4, 0. This will come down 6. And this will be 4 times 4, 16. 4 times 2, 8, 9. 4 times 1 is 4. So this will be 0. And we have the 3 zeros here. Yeah, so number of domestic cars sold will be equal to 100 times 24,000. And this will be equal to 2,400,000 cars sold, which is corresponding to answer C. Yeah, so that's how we come about finding the answer to the question. Moving on to question 92. What does it say here? It says the harvest yield a certain apple orchard was 350 bushels of apples. If X of the trees in the orchard each yielded 10 bushels of apples, what fraction of the harvest yield was from these X trees? So what we get from this question is, so the total, let's just find the total harvest yield. Which is, so you said the harvest yield from a certain apple orchard was 350. Okay, and then another information we get from the prompt is the harvest yield only for X special trees. So if X of the trees in the orchard each yielded 10 bushels of apple. So this will be harvest yield only for X special trees. That will be equal to, since we have X number of trees and 10 bushels per 10 bushels of apples per tree. So it's going to be equal to 10x. Okay. So the question is to find the fraction of harvest fraction of harvest yield from X trees. Yeah. So that simply means that we are going to say the yield from the X special trees divided by the total harvest yield. Okay, so now the 0 here will cancel, so it will remain X over 35, which is corresponding to answer choice A. So A is the correct answer, X over 35. Next question. That would be question number 83. What does it say here? If 0 so if 0 is less than A, less than B, less than C, which of the following statements must be true? Okay, so let's try to check statement by statement. So if we say this is statement 1, so we will start with statement 1. 2A greater than B plus C. So if, let's say A is 1, B is 2, and C is equal to 3. Since here, that's what it says. So A is less than B, B is less than C. Okay? So 1 is less than 2, 2 is less than 3. So if we have these numbers, and we are going to check the first condition. So that means we are going to have 2A greater than B plus C, which will lead us to have 2 times 1. Is it greater than 2 plus 3 like this? So 2. Okay. So this is not true. All right. So this is not true since we have a case where, a scenario where we are not able to, validate this particular condition. So we can take that out of the possible answer, correct answer to the question. So let's take condition 2, which is C minus A greater than B minus A. Okay, so here what we can say, so this can lead us to have C being greater than B minus A plus A. Because if this A here goes to the other side, it's going to be plus. And so minus A plus A, it's going to cancel. So we are going to have C greater than B. This is also equal to saying that B is less than C. And it joins this particular condition that we have in the prompt here, that B is indeed less than C. So this is true. Okay. Yeah, this is true since 0 must be less than A must be less than B, and B must be less than C, and this is what we have found here. So for the second condition, it's true. So now we have the last condition that we need to check to find out. So C over A less than B over A. So here we are going to try to plug in some numbers as well. So we're going to take A being equal to 1 and B being equal to 2 and C being equal to 3. So if we plug in, so this is going to lead us to have 3 over 1 less than B is 2. So 2 over A is 1. So this 3 less than 2. So this is not true. So 3 cannot be less than 2. Okay. This is not true. So we have a scenario, a case where the condition does not hold. So as you can see, only the second condition here is that we have been able to validate. So the answer is second condition only. See? So that's how you solve this particular question. Now, moving on to question number 94. Question 94, the function f is defined by f of x equal to square root of x minus 10 for all positive numbers x. If u equal f of t for some positive numbers t and u, what is t in terms of u? So we have f of x, which is equal to square root of x minus 10 like this. We have u will equal to f of t. So that simply means that u is equal to square root of t, like this, minus 10. Okay, for now, this can, it has to write square root of t minus 10 is equal to u. Square root of t is equal to u plus 10, because 10 will come to the other side. And when we raise to the power 2, so square root of t whole raised to the power 2, and here too we are going to raise it to the power 2. That's what we're going to get, and this will give us t being equal to u plus 10 whole raised to the power of 2. So the question is to find what is t in terms of u. Okay, so definitely answer B is the correct answer. Let's go to the next question. Okay, that will be question number 95. Question 95, the ratio of the amount of Alex fuel oil bill for the month of February to the amount of his fuel oil bill for the month of January was 3/2. If the fuel oil bill for February had been $40 more, the corresponding ratio would have been 5/3. How much was Alex's fuel oil bill for January? Yeah, so the same thing. Let's say, let the bill of the month of February be equal to F. And then here, we say let bill of the month of January be equal to J. So simply what the prompt says is that the ratio of February over January, F over J, is 3/2. And if the full oil bill for February had been $40 more, so that means F plus 40/J, the corresponding ratio would have been 5/3. Okay, so this will lead us to have 2F equal to 3J, and 3F plus 120 equal to 5J. And here we will have F being equal to 3J/2, and we will have 5J minus 3F being equal to 120. So here is a system of equations. So that we will have equation 1 and equation 2. So we are going to replace F, the value of F, in the second equation. So we simply say, so for the second equation, we have 5J minus 3. F is actually 3J/2, which is going to be equal to 120. And then 5J will be 5J minus 9J/2 will be equal to 120. And then this will lead to have 10j minus 9j over 2 equal to 120. And then this will be j being equal to 240. So answer A is the correct answer, 240. That is how much Alex full or bill for January will be. Okay, go on to question number 96. So we have this operation. So the value of the expression above is closest to which of the following? So we are looking for the approximate value. So 1 plus 0.0001 divided by 0.04 plus 10. So if we do the maths here, so it's going to be 1.0001 over 10.04. So since we are working with approximation here, the closest value, 1.0001 is approximately equal to 1. And then 10.04 is approximately equal to 10. So that means that 1.001 divided by 10.04 is approximately equal to 1 over 10, which is actually 10 to the power minus 1 or 0.1, like this. Yeah, so we have the answer C being the correct answer to this question, which is very simple and direct. Okay, let's move on to the next question. That will be question number 97. So it talks about the sequence. So it says in the sequence A1, A2, A3, AN, the terms AI plus 1 and AI plus 2 satisfy the equation AI plus 2 equals 2 times AI plus 1 plus 3AI1 plus 3AI for all positive integers I. If A3 is equal to 9 and A5 is equal to 51, what is the value of A4? So we can say that here, since we have this formula, AI plus 2 like this is equal to 2 AI plus 1 plus 3 AI. So in order to find A4, we can say that for A3, for example, because we have A3 here. For A3, I plus 2 is going to, no, for A3, I plus 2 is going to be equal to 3, which is going to be I going to be equal to 1, like this. So that means that A3 is going to be equal to A1 plus 1, because I is 1. We're just going to replace I by the value here, and A1 like this. Okay, so A3 will be 2A, A2 plus 3A1. We do not have the value of A2, okay? So from A3, we cannot we cannot use A3 alone to find A4. So let's take the other value that the prompt has given us. It's A5. So for A5, I plus 2 will be I plus 2 will be equal to 5. That means that I is going to be equal to 3. So then A5 is going to be equal to 2 times A, 3 plus 1 plus 3, A, 3 like this. And now A5 will be 2A4 plus 3A3. So we have A5, we have A3, and A4 is what we are looking for. That's what the prompt asks. So now let's develop this equation to find A4. So A4, 2A4 is going to be equal to A5 minus 3A3. And then A4 will be equal to, so A5 is 51 minus 3 factor of A3, which is 9, divided by 2. So this is going to say 51 minus 27, 24 divided by 2. So now 24 divided by 2 is 12. So A4 is equal to 12. And that's answer A. You see how you can actually solve this question. Okay, let's go on to question number 98. So question number 98 says, if y is equal to 12x minus 17, then the least integer x for which y is greater than 100 is. So simply what it's saying that y must be greater than 100. Okay, so y greater than 100. But here it says that y is actually equal to 12x minus 17. So we are simply going to replace that. So that simply means that 12x minus 17 must be greater than 100. So 12x. So minus 17 will go to the other side. It's going to be plus 17 plus 100. So 117 like this. And then x is going to be greater than 117 divided by 12. And if we try to simplify, this is going to lead us to have x being greater than, because 117 is divisible by 3, and it gives us 39 divided by 4. So 39 divided by 4, so 9, 36, 3, so point, so 0 here, say 7, 28, 2, 0, 5. Okay, so since 39 over 4 is equal to 9.75, so x must be greater than 9.75. So that means that, so it says that the least integer x, so we are looking for the integer. Which one? So the least integer after 9.75 is 10. Answer D. So that means the least integer x for which y is greater than 100 is 10. So answer B. Okay, so let's take the, so this is going to be the last but one question. Okay, that's question number 99. So it says the average arithmetic mean score on a test taken by 10 students was X. If the average score for 5 of the students was 8, what was the average score in terms of X for the remaining 5 students who took the test? So let's, here we can say that the sum of scores for all 10 students is equal to X, like this, capital X. So the small x is, which is the average, is actually going to be equal to the sum of scores of all students divided by the number of students, like this. And that sum is going to be equal to 10x, okay? We can also say that the sum of scores for 5 of the students is equal to y. So if the average score of 5 of the students was 8. So that simply means that 8, which is the average, will be equal to y, which is the sum of scores for 5 of the students divided by 5 students, it's 5 of the students. And this will lead us to have y being equal to 40. Okay, and then we'll have the sum of scores of the remaining 5 students will be equal to 0. So remember, at the beginning we have 10 students, and then we will take 5 out of the 10 students. That means that 5 will remain, okay? So we can say that we know that the total sum for all the students, which is x here, is actually equal to the sum of 5 of the students plus the sum of the scores of the 5 other remaining students, like this. So if we want to find z, which is the sum of the scores of the remaining 5 students, it's actually going to be equal to x minus y. Okay, so the question is, what was the average score in terms of x for the remaining 5 students? So the average score is actually going to be equal to the sum of the scores for the remaining 5 students, that is z, divided by the number of students, which is 5. But z here, we know it's actually x minus y, okay? That will be divided by 5. We know x is actually 10 times small x minus y is 40 divided by 5. And this will give us 2x minus 8. That's our answer. 2x minus 8, when we look at the answer choices, is this one, which is the correct answer for our question. All right, so now let's take the last question. That will be question 100. Question 100. So we have, if x is equal to minus 1, then we have this operation. X to the power 4 minus x to the power 3 plus x to the power 2, the whole divided by x minus 1. Okay, so here, since x is equal to minus 1, so we're going to say here, so we're going to replace x by minus 1. Plus minus 1. And then here we'll have minus 1, minus 1. And this will lead us, minus 1 to the power 4 is 1. And we have the minus here, and then we have minus 1 to the power 3. It's going to give us minus 1 still, plus minus 1 to the power 2 is going to give us 1. And here minus 1 is minus 2. Here we will have 1 plus 1 plus 1 over minus 2, which is 3 over minus 2, which is giving us minus 3 over 2. And then we have minus 3 over 2, answer A here, which is the correct answer. That's how you answer this particular question. Okay. And also note that here, since x is equal to minus 1, and you can see that the denominator here, x minus 1 is different from 0 because x is minus 1. Okay, so the answer is minus 3 over 2.